Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Gympact Zone. As your host, James Gisanti, covers Impact Wrestling. I hate hosting, and now I'm finding myself hosting myself alone once again. I am riding a little bit low after my ride last night covering AEW Dynamite, so bear with me if I seem a little bit tired. I am doing this by myself. This was an interesting episode of Impact, not quite as impactful as usual. This definitely feels like the calm before the storm, as next week's episode of Impact definitely seems to be packing a little bit more of a punch. We did start off strong, though, as we had a wonderful tag team debut for Aussie Open as they took on Bullet Club members Ace Austin and Chris Bay. This was a fun match. I am the first to admit not the biggest fan of Aussie Open, and I will attribute that to how they were presented in AEW. We typically saw them on the losing end of feuds. They were definitely there to make Will Ospreay look better. So I never really gave them a fair shake. But Impact being career rehabilitation, as I've said so frequently, this was a brilliant debut for Aussie Open. They looked very dominant in a competitive match. I know those two kind of contradict each other in this excellent match against these two young Bullet Club members in Ace Austin and Chris Bay. Aussie Open took the win, and they are getting closer and closer to their claim of world domination as they're trying to earn their way into a tag team title shot against the current champions for now, Honor No More. Speaking of Honor No More, and speaking of the tag team division, and speaking of titles, we saw a backstage segment where Honor No More discusses their tag team title win from last week, yet Kenny King says he should be the X Division champion right now. You know, I can't really say I disagree with him. Referees coming in, getting involved, and reversing decisions is always a controversial decision, even if he did cheat. But Kenny King has a bone to pick with management. Doesn't Honor No More always? And we'll see what comes next from this. It's not going to take long. We get to it later on in the night. I'm sorry, guys. I got to deal with social media too. I do it all here at the Mark It Down podcast. I'm exhausted, but I'm doing this for you. We transition over to another backstage segment, still dealing with the Impact tag titles, where the Good Brothers discuss their loss, where they say, you know what, they're big enough to admit when they lose, and they certainly lost to OGK last week. They aren't happy about it. But before they can explain, they were interrupted by the Motor City Machine Guns. This is a match that somehow has not happened in the 2 years both teams have been in Impact together. So we may have a possible dream match moving forward between these two teams. Moving on, it seems the beginning of the end is here, as Mickie James's last rodeo has seemed to have started, as she takes on Rachel Rose, who, I got to tell you, I'm not very familiar with Miss Rose, but I guess Mickie James is staying true to her word. She's starting from the bottom of the women's division, the Knockouts division, and moving her way on. Mickie got a quick, powerful, dominant win, and man, I got to tell you, it's awesome to see Mickie looking so good at this stage in her career. I'm very happy for her. I'm very happy to see what this last rodeo could bring. I hope this is not actually the last rodeo. That was powerful. I'm proud of myself. Moving forward, we have Mia Yim talking backstage with Scott D'Amore. You know, Scott is praising Mia's body of work when Kenny King from Honor No More interrupts, saying that Mia has to leave because he has something important to talk to Scott about. That being his failed, or should I say, unjust robbery of the X Division championship that he feels he rightfully deserves. Scott, he's not having it. He's so done with Honor No More. And truth be told, I get it. The man's been doing so much. God bless you, Scott. He tells Kenny, you know what? I know you're a man of action. You want to get stuff done. You want to move forward. Let's move forward. He puts him in a match, not for just tonight, but for right now. Who's Kenny King's opponent? None other than the debuting New Japan talent, Yu Yamura. Gonna tell you, that was really hard. I had to practice that a few times. I gotta say, this was a fun back and forth match with the debuting young lion, Yu Yamura. I have no exposure to him in New Japan. I don't know him very well, but I gotta tell you, this kid is explosive. He's got an aggressive style that I love, especially from a young guy. And I just loved seeing him bring it to the veteran that is Kenny King. I don't know how long his tenure in Impact is going to last. I don't know if if this is going to be a nice little run for him or if it's just a quick excursion. But either way, as an American fan who is now getting used to Yu Yamura and is getting exposed to him for the first time, I can tell you I like what I see, and I am hoping for big things from this kid moving forward as he wins this match with a top rope cross body. Great match, fun match, and Kenny King was the right opponent for Yu to debut against. He is a talented hand, knows how to work a match, knows how to make his opponent look good. This was a great choice, great back and forth, and I hope to see maybe a little budding rivalry between these two. All right, after this, we had another backstage segment. I gotta say, Impact knows how to weave in the backstage segments. I wish we got a little more of that from AEW. WWE tends to go a little too hard on the backstage segments, but I think Impact does a great job of mixing the two, where Moose and Steve Maclin think they have Sami Callihan figured out. But let me tell you, the Death Machine, he has them exactly where he wants them, according to him at least. As next week they face off in a barbed wire massacre match. Well, maybe not next week. It's at Victory Road. My bad. It's going to be a fun match between these three men. They are always going to bring the intensity. They are always going to bring the physicality. And, someone's going to bleed. Someone's going to bleed. Moving on to not a backstage segment, but a pre-taped, I don't know what this was, but it gave me goosebumps. Diener is looking for Eric Young and finds him in a cabin. He asks if he's sure if that's what he wants. What is the essence of design? Violence. Diener is then surrounded by recruits wearing yellow hoodies, chanting violence, 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 repeatedly. I got major Fight Club vibes from this. This was super scary. This was super interesting. And for a group that I was worried about after knowing Joe Doring had to leave and not knowing what the future of this group holds, it's very exciting to see Eric Young sort of bringing in a sanity vibe to this group. Before they were just three tough guys who like to fight, like to be violent. But now I'm getting a little bit more of that like anarchy vibe, that I guess Project Mayhem vibe, if we're going to stick with Fight Club. Moving forward, we had another brilliant knockouts match between Chelsea Green and Taya Valkyrie. Two, at this point, no, these women do not need to sell themselves anymore. We know how talented they are. I don't need to tell you how talented they are, but man, do they keep reminding us. I got to tell you, this match was slightly overbooked for my taste, with Jessica and Rosemary getting involved on Taya's behalf and Deonna Purrazzo getting involved on Chelsea's behalf. This was, a little much, but hey, they're selling a story. I totally understand, as we're gearing up for a probable rematch for the Impact Knockout Tag Team title, you got to get everybody involved, and I understand. Chelsea Green gets the win by pushing. Ooh, that was not a good slip. Pushing Jessica into Taya and then hitting Taya with the unprettier for the 1, 2, 3. Very excited for this feud to continue. Love seeing women highlighted Impact and love seeing tag team women's wrestling being highlighted in Impact. Backstage, we have Gia. You go, Gia, talking to Impact's knockout champion, Jordynne Grace, backstage, with Grace saying that the reason she gave Slamovich a death warrant was to get in Masha Slamovich's head. Grace said that she will not allow Masha to get in her head. Grace then sees her locker room with the phrase, "Masha is gonna kill you," plastered plastered all over the wall. Man, it's not often that I get really hyped for a specific women's match. You know, I'm always excited when the matches happen, but builds aren't always the best. I am super excited for this build between Masha Slamovich and Jordynne Grace. This is going to be, you know me. I love my big meaty men slapping meat. I think we're going to get an instance of these two women slapping meat, and it's going to be brutal, and I am all here for it. Backstage, we have Vincent and PCO, with Vincent saying that his voice and PCO's voice are in unison and that their voices belong to Honor No More. Vincent said that they were Honor No More before putting a hood on PCO. You know, I like this little pairing between Vincent and PCO. I'm a big fan of Honor No More. I like this group. I like what they're bringing to Impact, and I like how different they are than the typical Impact group or storyline, you know? But in this instance, I've always felt that PCO and Vincent were a little out of place. So if at the very least Vincent is that connection for PCO to sort of feel closer to the group and he's got him under control, it's a very fun dynamic. Or maybe we'll see these two men eventually cut off from the group. At the very least, I do think PCO is probably going to go his own way, and this is just a slight detour for the man, or let me say, the monster. But very excited to see where PCO's future goes, and maybe a fun matches down the road between Vincent and PCO. We had a title match. The Impact Wrestling Digital Media Champion, Brian Myers, took on Bhupinder Gujjar. I got to tell you, this feud is not doing it for me. I love Brian Myers, and I'm really trying to give Bhupinder a honest shot here. But the truth is, the booking has been a little confusing for my taste. I don't quite know if I'm supposed to like Bhupinder. I'm not sure if I feel like I should pity Bhupinder, but he just keeps, he doesn't feel like a babyface. And that's fine if he's not supposed to be. But he's going against a great heel in Brian Myers. The match ended via DQ with Bhupinder hitting Brian Myers with the championship belt, smacking him in the head. And, you know, and then Bhupinder leaves with the belt once again, despite not actually winning the belt from Brian Myers. I don't know how I feel about this. I am kind of ready for this feud to end. I don't know that I want Brian to lose the title. Maybe Bhupinder needs it to sort of move forward, but I do think Brian could definitely do more with the belt than Bhupinder can at this juncture. We have one more backstage segment. Gail Kim addressing Tasha Steelz and Savannah Evans, telling her that Killer Kelly wants to join the broadcast team for her match against Alicia. Steelz was a little confused and questioned why she wanted to be on the broadcast team. And Gail replied that Kelly enjoys it when people watch. God, that is awkward and slightly cringy. Even more confused, Steele replied, "What kind of S&M is that?" You know, Impact, you never fail to surprise me. You never fail to make it weird. I love you. One more for the road. Another back. I was saying that Impact does a good job of balancing them out, but tonight was a little too backstage for me. Myers and Gujjar are arguing before Scott D'Amore pulled the belt from Gujjar's grip. D'Amore informed them that if Bhupinder wins the Digital Media Championship in a ladder match in 2 weeks, he will be the winner and finally the actual Digital Media Championship. An awkward little segment, in my opinion. I mean, kind of self-explanatory, but I guess we needed it. Moving on to the main event. We had Heath taking on Eddie Edwards of Honor No More. This was a nice little grudge match, pretty physical, pretty hard hitting, and I just continue to love seeing Heath getting his roses here in Impact. You know, he may never win the Impact World Championship, And honestly, that's fine. But we got to see a different side of Heath that we didn't get to see elsewhere. And at the very least, he feels like a big deal here in Impact. I will never not sing his praises, and I will never not be happy to see him doing well here in this new environment. That said, Eddie Edwards did get the win, but he had to cheat. He had a little help from his Honor No More brethren, causing a distraction as he hits him with the low blow and then hits him with the Boston Knee Party. God bless that name. That is fantastic. Fun match between these two, but the real story is what happened after the bell as Josh Alexander comes out to confront Eddie Edwards and to see, and the audience is waiting, anticipating, very excited to see if he's going to join Honor No More. Josh Alexander says, Eddie Edwards tells them, just because we're going for the title against each other, just because we have a match against each other, we're going to be opponents, doesn't mean we need to be enemies. You belong here in Honor No More with us. I know exactly how you feel. I used to soak up the adulation of these so-called fans too, and it's not worth it. Josh Alexander said, no. These are his people. And if they want to go, they could do this right now. They don't have to wait for the pay-per-view. Well, let's just say a nice little brawl broke out. And it's fun when brawls break out on camera and not in locker rooms where people can get suspended and championships can be stripped. Yes, I said it. Honor No More standing tall. Eddie Edwards standing tall over Josh Alexander. I don't know if Eddie Edwards is going to take the title off Josh. I'm starting to feel like it's more and more a possibility. Time will tell. But I will say Honor No More is definitely the hottest thing in Impact right now. And Honor No More and Eddie Edwards is a former champion, a believable champion, and a believable contender to Josh Alexander's reign. Time will tell. You never know what's going to happen in the Impact Zone, and you never know what's going to happen in the Gympact Zone. Although I will say, not much happened tonight in either zone. But yes, guys, it's like I said at the beginning of the show, or at the beginning of my show. I don't know what this is. This definitely felt like a calm before the storm episode. We have a lot of premium events coming up with Victory Road being first. And next week being a very packed episode of Impact to expect. Lots of big matches announced, lots of fun matches I don't think we've really seen yet. So please be sure to tune in next week. I'm probably going to have a guest or two with me. Probably. Let's see how much begging I have to do. But thank you guys again for joining me here at the Gympact Zone, where we cover all things Impact. And by we, I mean me. All right, guys, you have a great night. And remember, don't do cocaine. Just